Hey guys, welcome back. And we are doing the old Halloween legend of Stingy Jack. And last time we ended off just kind of laying in the base elements of his body, but I think for the start of this video, I want to go back and work on his head. There's still a lot of fun, creepy, grotesque details I want to add to his head. But the first thing I'm noticing going back into this is we lost a lot of his beard, because if you remember, on our first head we got all this beard scruff, and I want to bring that back out. So I'm just going to go back to that original head, and with my lasso I'm just going to select that beard scruff. And I'm just going to feather that out a little bit. And I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to put that on top of all of our head elements. And just warp it a little bit so it fits the new shape of our head. And I'm going to put a mask on that. And I'm just going to fade that off so it blends in with everything else. Alright, so we gave him back his beard. And I mentioned in the first video that I want to make his eyes and his mouth light up like a jack-o'-lantern. And I think doing that will completely change the look of the piece. So let's do that next. And let's start with his eyes. So I'm just going to make a path around his eyes. And this one. And I'm going to select those. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste them just so I have his eyes on a separate layer. And let's make that into a new group and call it glowing. So let's play around a little bit and see what we can do to make those eyes have a great creepy glow to them. So maybe start off with like a color overlay of like an orange color. Let's start off with overlay. Let's see. Let's do that, and let's make a layer adjustment. And let's really brighten those eyes up. All right. So let's go back into our layer styles and put on an outer glow. Turn that all the way up. Maybe lighten. Just gotta play around a little bit to get the look we want. Let's go back into our adjustment and let's take out those blacks a little bit. And let's make a new layer and maybe put it on overlay. And let's paint in with some orange color. I think that'll really bring it to life. Yeah, that's gonna look good. And let's make another layer. And let's paint with a lighter orange, more of a yellowy orange. Let's go right over the eyes. And there too. Wow, that's really bright. And let's see. Color dodge is nice. Or linear dodge. Let's stick with color dodge. Oh yeah. He already looks so much more sinister now, so it's gonna look good. And let's try making another layer. And I'm gonna just paint with a small brush. Maybe just some reflected light around his eye socket. Just following the curves of his wrinkles. And let's put that on, let's see, overlay, soft light. Let's try overlay, but maybe adjust that color a little bit. I want it a little more orange. and erase just to feather those edges a little bit. Alright, I think his eyes look great. Nice and creepy. I may want to bring back his pupils a little more so his eyes just aren't so bright white. But for now, I'll just leave it like it is. So, you know what? Let's make his nose glowing too. Because he's a jack-o'-lantern, so jack-o'-lantern's nose is going to light up as well. So let's do the same for his nostrils, or his nostril singular. And now let's clip out his one nostril. Let's copy that, and I'll paste that. And let's copy that adjustment layer from the eyes. And let's copy that layer style as well. And I don't want that hard edge there, so I'm gonna mask that off so we get a little more of a fade. Turn that up a little bit. Yeah, that's more what I'm looking for. And like we did with the eyes, I'm just gonna paint in some bright orange overlays to really make that glowing pop. So put that on overlay. And same over here. And the flesh of your nose isn't too thick, so if your nose was lit up like a jack-o'-lantern, you would see a lot of light in your entire nose. So let's sort of make his entire nose glow a little more. So his entire nose would probably be glowing like that if it was in fact lit up. Don't want it too red. I don't want to make him Rudolph. Alright, so let's move on to his mouth. And so I'm just going to clip out his mouth. And I'm going to copy that. And before I do that, I have to make sure his bad teeth are on top of the glowing layer. And again, we'll paste layer style. And we'll duplicate that levels adjustment. And we'll clip it to the mouth. Now this is going to be a little bit different and probably a little more difficult because we have these teeth in here. So we're going to have to go at it a little bit of a different way. So let's try masking out where his teeth are. Okay. And let's do that down here too. You know, I think we're gonna have to handle his mouth a little bit differently because of the way we did these teeth. So let's close that off for now. And let's go back to our mouth path. And let's put a layer on overlay. I'm just kind of experimenting now what's the best way to make the mouth look like it's glowing. So let's paint inside there. And let's make another layer in there. Linear dodge. Let's put a nice hot spot right there at sort of the back of his mouth. Like the flames are coming from his throat. And let's make a layer on top of our bad teeth layer. And put it on overlay. And let's just paint in around that. Let's try going to our bad teeth layer and maybe doing an inner glow on those. And I think I'm gonna darken up his bad teeth a little more just so they pop against the bright inside of his mouth. So I'm going to go into my levels adjustment, and I'm just going to darken them up. And same for the top layer. Alright, so let's take like a reddish color and let's paint in some, turn that down a little bit actually, and paint in some reflected light on these bumps. Because you're going to have some light hitting these little grotesque nobules, or whatever they're called. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Looking pretty creepy and pretty evil. And let's do one more thing to really accentuate the fiery glowing coming out of his eyes and mouth. I have some yellowy orange smoke images, and let's use some of these so there's a little bit of smoke coming out of his eyes and mouth as well. And we're going to put that on the screen, and we're going to turn up our levels. And let's mask that off. Let's try the other picture and see what kind of result that gives us. You know, these smoke images, they're not working out as good as I'd hoped, so let's try something different. Instead of smoke, let's just try adding some fire coming out of his eyes and mouth. And let's see how that looks. So let's take some, maybe this right here. And let's paste that in. Put that on screen. And maybe this will give us the look we want. That's not bad, that's pretty nice. Let's adjust the color a little bit maybe though. Yeah, so let's do something like that. Instead of smoke, let's try having a little bit of fire coming out of his eyes and mouth. I think that might work for us a little better. And let's grab that right about there. That's pretty cool, I like that. Maybe coming out of his mouth. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. Does that add to it, or is it too much? Let's leave it on there for now. I might take that off, or I might adjust it, but let's leave the little flames on for now. And let's just try doing one on the mouth too, just to see how it looks. So let's grab, you know what, let's grab this one here. This one looks like a good one. I have a feeling about that one. And put that on screen. You know what? Maybe let's just put that inside of his mouth. And we'll just mask that off. Yeah, I kind of like that just inside the mouth. Because the mouth seemed a little too... It seemed kind of boring here almost. Like it was too flat, but... I think putting a little bit of flame in there kind of helps it out. And let's just paint in a little more of that red reflected light up here. So I'm going to paint in a little on these bumps and a little on these over here. And I'm going to paint just a little on the underside of his wrinkles. Just because they would catch a little bit of light. Not too much. But there would be a little bit of reflected light going on here, so. Alright, so yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the flames. I may keep them, I may not. I think I just need to walk away from it, then come back later and see it with fresh eyes. But right now I'm kind of... I could go either way. Anyway, let's move on to something different. So, I want to add some more grotesque, pumpkin-y details to his head. And I'm thinking I want to add maybe some stems coming out. Some pumpkin stems, obviously. And we got some good stems here. So let's try this picture. And maybe we can grab one of these stems. This one's kind of interesting and twisted and kind of all knotted up. So maybe this one will look nice for us. So maybe we can put that right around there somewhere. That's a little goofy, but that's okay. Let's try reflecting that horizontally, maybe this way. What do you say? Do you like it forward or backwards? I don't know if it matters. Let's try it this way for now. And I'm just gonna lighten up this whole side. Just to pump up the rim lighting. And I want to turn off his jacket for now. And maybe his arm. So we're just working on his head. And I got this this rendering of this gross zombie thing, and I'm thinking maybe I can use some of this. So let's experiment with this. So let's grab a big chunk from like right there. Let's paste that in there. And maybe he can have like a big bulbous growth on the side of his neck. What do you think? That's pretty grotesque. I'm not sure how his coat would wrap around that. I'd have to bring out the color of his coat a lot more to fit around that big, thick, gross neck. And let's see. Let's try getting some of this right here. And maybe he has like a big pumpkin growth over here. Just a big, nasty pumpkin growing out of his neck. I still have some work to do blending all these different elements in. They don't quite blend together just perfectly yet, but I want to get all my elements in first and get them positioned correctly, and then we'll work on blending everything together more precisely. So let's darken that up a bit. And we'll put a mask on that, and let's see what we can do blending that together. And see if we can't fade those two colors together. That looks painful. That really looks painful. Like he's got a kink in his neck. I don't want to go too far though. I'm just starting to worry that maybe I'm taking the grotesqueness a little too far. I still want to make him mostly look like a guy. Let's turn that coat back on. And let's just see how exactly the collar would wrap around that. Darken this entire neck area up. Alright, so we did a lot of experimenting today. We did some trial and error. Some things worked, some things didn't, but you know, that's just how it goes. But it's getting a little late, so I'm gonna end it right there. Thank you for watching, and take care.